Hi, welcome to Butterflies Prosper and Wellness Company. My name is Crystal Morris. I'm the owner and therapist here.
And I'm Michael. I'm an LPC and an LCDC, and I work for Crystal.
All right, so we're both licensed. I'm a licensed professional counselor, and today we like to share one of our groups that we've been working on, building healthy relationships. So, Michael, we'll go ahead and get started.
Okay. So basically, we're going to introduce some of the things that we talk about over the course of building healthy relationships. So in group one, it's basically a discussion about the participants' patterns in personal relationships. One of the first things we talk about is, what was your family of origin? Because a lot of times how people view the world, the relationships, and themselves is created by the environment they grew up in. So if you grew up in an unhealthy, abusive, toxic, or violent relationship, your views of relationships are going to be a bit askew, and that's going to affect how you interact with your partner. Another topic that we like to discuss is themes in relationships. Specifically, because we have that little blueprint in our head about how relationships are supposed to be, you'll notice that there's like kind of a pattern. Do I deal with all of my girlfriends or all of my boyfriends or all of my friends or children in this same particular fashion? And we identify that to increase insight and help overall break the cycle. So the second day of group is we discuss characteristics of unhealthy relationships, basically finding out what wrong looks like. And we talk about some of the things like reciprocating negative behavior with negative behavior. So your partner does something bad and you do something bad too. They cheat on you, so you wreck their car, as Guns N' Roses wrote about.
Yeah, that's a good example.
Mhm.
Do you want to write down some of the themes or some of those different examples that you're talking about?
Okay, so I'll put it on all up here. So to eliminate the butterfly.
Yes, rewrite it. So as he's writing that, talking about the unhealthy characteristics of a relationship, I want to kind of review some of the healthy relationship characteristics. So imagine you have a wheel, and in the center core is respect. So ask yourself, do I have a mutual respect in my relationship? Do we respect each other? Okay? And one of the other characteristics of a healthy relationship is accountability. This is, am I admitting to mistakes, accepting responsibility, for my behaviors or attitudes or values? And then you have safety. Do I feel safe in this relationship? Refusing to intimidate my partner or manipulate them, respecting kind of the physical boundaries and space, and expressing yourself non-violently. So sometimes, we may think, oh, it's just harmful, but do I really feel safe? Maybe it's more verbal. Okay. Then you have the next characteristic, honesty, communicates openly and truthfully. Okay. Then you have support, supporting each other's choices. That can be, making sure we're being understanding, we're offering encouragement to our partner, listening non-judgmentally, and valuing each other's opinions. And then the next characteristic is cooperation. This is important, asking and not expecting, accepting change, making decisions together, willing to compromise, and making sure it's a win-win for everyone. So not, okay, I'm miserable over here, but they're over there feeling good. Okay. And then you have trust, accepting each other's word, kind of giving each other the benefit of the doubt. So I always say, without trust, do you really have a relationship? And that could be from parenting relationship, from dating, marital, with family members. Okay, so those are some basic characteristics of a healthy relationship: having accountability, safety, honesty, support, cooperation, and trust. And then at the core, you have respect. So, how's it going up there, Michael?
Got a lot of healthy up here, along with some unhealthy ones up here.
Okay. Awesome.
So, some of the unhealthy ones, now that we know of what some of the good ones are, include, if you look up here on the board, as I stated before, reciprocating bad behavior with bad behavior. Another type of unhealthy, characteristic of an unhealthy relationship is enmeshment. Where basically, you're all up in each other's business. Instead of you, me, us, there's just a giant conglomeration of everything, and everybody's all up in each other's grill, and there's really no sense of independence. Now, beyond, on the other end of the spectrum, an independent relationship is not necessarily healthy either. That's when instead of you, me, us, there's just you and me over here on the other edge of the world, and ne'er the two shall meet. That's not a relationship. That's two satellites orbiting one another.
So like you're doing your own thing, pretty much.
Yeah, you just coincidentally cohabitate. Now, another characteristic of an unhealthy relationship is codependency. And what this is when an individual does not have a sense of identity. They let others define them 100%. They focus on fixing others, helping others, doing anything for others except doing anything for themselves. They'll very often harm themselves because they're trying so hard to fix anybody else. And if you're not in good shape, you can't take care of anybody else.
That's good. I always say, if I'm not good, then everyone else won't be good. So importance of self-care, importance of knowing, which we'll get into that later, your limits, boundaries, and, like you said, not just trying to fix our mate, because we can't fix anyone. We are in control of our own emotion, behavior, thoughts, etc. So choosing to, act in a positive way or negative, or choosing to ignore those signs.
So those are some characteristics of healthy and unhealthy relationships.
Yes.
Another thing that we like to talk about is the themes of the current relationship. So we talk about, is the relationship what is called dyadic? Dyad being two, two, you and you. Is there you and your partner, or is there a third, or sometimes a fourth person? An example could be like somebody who's got a best friend who's always getting in the way. Or in some cases, instead of you'll see in very toxic relationships, where instead of the two people communicating with each other, they'll use a child as an intermediary, instead of communicating with one another. So if a relationship is a dyad, it has a greater propensity to be healthy. Other examples would be reciprocation of affection. If somebody hugs you, you hug them back. If somebody gets you a gift, you do something as well. Just letting that person know that you care about them and you accept that they care about you, and you're willing to give as well as take. And lastly, flexibility in boundaries. Basically, in certain situations, you can adapt. You can be a chief, you can be an engine, or you can be someplace in between. You can move up and down based on the situation. If the boundaries are too rigid, you run the risk of basically it being I order you type of relationship, or I'm completely subservient to you type of relationship. It's not healthy. But if you can kind of vacillate in certain situations, you're more adaptable and you're able to keep things going.
Definitely balance that. It's important to balance your role in the relationship.
And lastly, what the final meeting of the healthy relationship group is about is we cover how to implement the healthy relationship tenets. Basically, to come up with a boots on the ground solution when you're dealing with your partner. So some of the examples that we talk about are making your statements specific. Don't use broad terminology. Be specific. For example, I am mad at you because you didn't take out the trash Tuesday when that morning you said you would take out the trash.
So you're saying, Michael, using I statements. So if
Mhm.
I feel upset instead of you made me upset, I feel upset when the trash is not taken out, So
Mhm.
instead of we're going off the deep end and flipping out, we use that terminology and say I.
Mhm. Another example is listen to what your partner is telling you and ask, repeat it back to them and say, is this what you meant? Basically, it lets them know that they're being heard, and it lets you know that it lets them know that you're actually, paying attention and you're understanding.
Yeah, reflective listening, we call
Mm-hmm.
that. Paraphrasing what the other person is saying. Good communication tool.
Mm-hmm. Counselor 101. And clarifying before attacking, finding out exactly what is going on, appraising the situation objectively before you start yelling or getting into an argument with your partner. For example, Billy Bob is late to Tammy Sue's date night, right? So Tammy Sue yells at Billy Bob, but it turns out Billy Bob was stuck in a traffic jam because there was a big old pileup and people had to be airlifted to the hospital. So perfectly rational. So you clarify before you attack. And lastly, challenge the relationships of your family of origin. And what this means is when you've kind of analyzed the communication and boundaries and just overall patterns of a difficult or problematic family situation that you grew up in, you need to get in the habit of breaking that, because otherwise you won't really be able to break the cycle, and it'll just repeat itself over and over again ad nauseum or ad infinitum.
It can stop. Yeah, it can stop with you once
Mhm.
you learn, become aware. I would say
Mhm.
become mindful of your behaviors, your actions, and we have the power to change what we're doing once we learn that, and we have to choose change. So change starts within. It doesn't start with your partner telling you need to change. You have to decide, I want better for me.
So that pretty much wraps up some of the high points in regards to the healthy relationships group. We also have specific groups within this kind of continuum. We have healthy relationships for adolescents,
Yes.
healthy relationships for military couples, healthy relationships for the newly single. There's a lot of options that are available to you if you were to start treatment with Butterflies Prospering Wellness.
Thank you, Michael. So we hope that this video is informative. Definitely during group, we go into more details. We have examples, exercises, activities, and handouts, all at the low price cost, and light refreshments as well. So if you're interested in that, reaching out to us, you can go to our website, www.butterfliesprosperingwellness.com. You can read my bio, Crystal, Michael's bio, and decide if you want to, come and check our practice out. So we hope to see that you guys soon, and have a great, wonderful day.
Take care.